Call this meeting, regular meeting of council to order. It is Monday, March 9th, 2026. The City of Lacombe acknowledges that we live, work, and govern on the shared territory of Treaty 6. We honor the histories, languages, cultures, and continuing contributions of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and other nations, as well as the Métis people of the Métis Nation of Alberta District 3 and beyond. We affirm our ongoing relationship with this land and commit to the respectful and meaningful engagement with Indigenous peoples as partners in our community. So before us, we have the agenda. First up is the consent agenda. Do we have any corrections, anything to pull out? Councillor Span?
Yeah, I'd like to pull the minutes from our last meeting.
Very well. So we'll pull the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting minutes out of the consent agenda and to the agenda. Anything further for the consent agenda? If not, can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended? Councillor Dyksdag?
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
The consent agenda as amended?
Mhm.
I don't see any further lights. I'll go ahead and call the question. Please vote. And that is passed unanimously. We will move to the regular agenda. Were there any omissions or corrections that we need to do for the regular agenda other than the item that we've added from the consent agenda? Does not appear to be so. If I could get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Councillor Proud has moved such. Any further discussion? Does not appear to be so. Please go ahead and vote. And that is unanimous. Thank you. So just before we move into presentations, then we will take care of the one consent agenda item just so that we don't miss it. So that means that we're returning to the minutes of the 23rd of February, 2026. Councillor Span, did you wish to speak to that?
Yes, through Mayor Hibbs to administration. There was just one item on the minutes from our last meeting that I wanted to have corrected, and that was the fire services invoice vote. It doesn't record a vote for myself in opposition to that vote. I just wanted to see that corrected.
Very well. Legislative Coordinator Post? Confirmed? Okay. Okay, but because we've pulled that from the consent agenda, we do actually have to adopt that as amended, I guess, with that small correction. Councillor Span, would you like to make that motion?
Through Mayor Hibbs, yes, I'll make that motion.
Councillor Goings, did you have another comment?
Yes, sorry, Mayor Hibbs. I did just notice another amendment needed, just a slight amendment under public hearing, just the time.
Okay. What time does it say?
We're missing the 6 under the 6:26 p.m.
Okay. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to accept the minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting as amended. Any further comments? Does not appear to be so. I'll call the question. Please go ahead and vote on that motion. And that is passed unanimously. Thank you. So that will move us then to our presentations for the evening. We do have two presentations. Our first presentation will be from Lacombe Regional Tourism. I would invite Mr. Weaver, and do you have Ms. Prinz with you, or is it just yourself? Okay, very well. Sure. That's absolutely okay with us. When she does arrive, you could just go ahead and introduce her. She could just join you up at the table. That's fine.
packets up, these were not inside the agenda. It's just additional.
Okay. Thank you. So Mr. Weaver, when you're ready, you know to push the button to start the microphone, and I'll give you the floor. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here today. I've been very excited to get in front of you guys. So first of all, welcome those who are newly elected, and Mayor Hibbs, good to see you again. So let's see if I can work this thing. It's been a while since I've been in front of it, but let's get to business. To introduce myself, my name is Austin Weaver. I am the Executive Director of Lacombe Regional Tourism. I have been that for about 5 years, almost to the day, and 6 seasons. So we're very excited to be in front of you guys for that long. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about what is a destination marketing organization, our mandate as Lacombe Regional Tourism. I'm going to introduce you to my team and some of the board, as well what went well and future challenges and what we look to grow on. We're going to look forward to 2026 and talk about that. And then I'll open up for some questions as we get into it. Some lovely pictures of the city of Lacombe, downtown. So what is the destination marketing organization? I'm going to have to apologize. I call it a DMO. So I'm going to try not to speak in abbreviation tonight, but it is hard for me. So please correct me if I jump in. So it's an organization focused on increasing visitation to a defined region. We use marketing activities to increase brand awareness, and we provide information to potential and actual visitors. We also engage all community members to educate and advocate for the industry around us. We proactively manage the visitor economy for the benefit of locals and visitors alike. So that is what we do. Our mandate, as you can see, is to responsibly grow the regional visitor economy by leveraging key public and private partnerships, leading regional destination development and development activity, as well as engaging all community members across Lacombe County. Once again, so we can welcome more visitors for the benefit of all. My team. So, as you can tell, different tie. That's what's different, and that's what's changed for you guys this evening. We also have Savannah Lalonde as our marketing coordinator. She's been in that position for about 3 years almost, so we're very excited to have her. And we have 3 contractors. We have a plethora of others, but these are our main go-tos at this point. So Unlimited BS website, Helen Peck for our membership contractor, Anthony Raspa photography, but we've had a few others in the past that have helped build us. The board, of course. So talking about our board, we've seen significant change there in the last year. We have Rachel Cray from Cray Family Farms as our president, Riley Kay as the vice president, Alita Prinz as our treasurer, Sonia, of course, or Councillor Dykesleg, pardon me, as our City of Lacombe rep. Then we have Roger Van Haren as the Lacombe County rep, Sarah Fahey as our member at large in the east, and Diana Spelt as our member at large in the west. You'll say, Austin, but that's 8 of 12 spots. Why? Well, we have another member. He just hasn't been voted in yet, so I can't share that name with you this evening. But we do have another board member, which we're excited to have. Some other pictures of another member business. So let's talk about things that went well for us in 2026. So, of course, our 2025 visitor guide, that was 5,000 copies distributed all throughout the province of Alberta. You could have found those in Medicine Hat, Hinton, Grand Prairie, and sometimes even a little further. They were spread all throughout, which was great. We had our Route 12 guide and our Route 12 campaign. If you haven't heard about that, that's our east to west touring exploring corridor. So that's working with members from all the way from Castor to Rocky Mountain House. And of course, saying, start your journey here in Macomb, east or west, you start here. Paid media visits. So that was golf influencers like Graham Phillick Media. He came in, took pictures and talked about his experiences inside the city of Lacombe and surrounding golf courses. We had website performance, over 1.3 million impressions. That's half the reason I'm rebuilding my website. The image bank, of course. So we have an image bank with over 5,700 high quality still assets with video assets on the way. It's very robust, lots of members on it, which is great. Membership growth. So this year we're sitting confirmed at about 65 businesses with 5 nonprofits, bringing me to about 70 at the time of this presentation. Of course, we see membership go up and down throughout the year, but this is what we're averaging at this current time. And of course, a lovely picture of the world's largest fish hook there. Activities also that went well. So our photo shoots, we took more photos last year than we care to count. Our member advocacy, I wrote more letters of support than I care to count as well. Destination development, this is a big one. So Travel Alberta has a program called the Tourism Destination Development Zones Project, and we are in one of them. We are in the Olds to Lacombe area. And so we met and talked and helped develop that plan and strategy that they're putting in front of you. I can provide that. That is about a 153-page document for anybody who wants to have any light reading. We also participated in the Red Deer Polytechnic case study. So we worked with students in Red Deer at helping them develop their tourism or possibly destination marketing knowledge, and hopefully encouraging them to get involved in the local levels of our industry. Consumer shows, we went to the Calgary Outdoor Adventure Show. That's where we talked to about 33,000 to 44,000 people in 2 days. We set up with the best of the West, I like to say. So we are there competing with the big destination marketing groups and activity operators of the West. So guys like Tourism Revelstoke, Destination BC, Northern BC Tourism, a lot of these bigger destination groups come to this and we stand there alongside them, which is a lot of fun. Stettler Trade Show, a little bit more local. Why? Because the East travels west. We know this. And so we have a good market in Stettler for us. Red Deer Centerfest, this was a surprise for us. We distributed about 300 of our guides within that show. That was a 2-day show over a rainy weekend. Hello. Sorry about that. No worries. So if I may introduce our treasurer, Alita Prinz, for joining us here this evening.
Not usually tardy. My apologies.
It's okay.
Perfect. So moving down the list here, guys. So future challenges, educational opportunities for members. This was something that we didn't do a lot of last year and we want to do more of. It's a challenge for our organization and we recognize that. And we want to continue to move forward in a positive manner and provide those opportunities for them to learn about the industry, how to grow their business, or if you are interested in getting into the service industry, we want to encourage you to diversify or expand. We also want to collect more localized industry research. As you guys will see in the package I handed out earlier, that is provincial level data, which is great, but we still need that localized information as well. Growing pains, of course, office administration. I think I can leave that one up there every year. And our revamp of our strategic plan. So we are in the midst of that process and working towards it. It's great. So coming down the list here a little bit more. So let's talk about what's next for 2026. This is a beautiful photo taken by Anthony. He didn't jump out of the plane. I made sure of it. He loves to fly, so good guy. Activities for 2026. Well, in your hands this evening in that package, you guys received a 3rd draft of the 2026 Visitor Guide. It's about as finalized as I like to make it before I hand it out. You guys get the pre-run essentially. So we have 5,000 copies of those ready to go and being ready to be distributed here shortly. Launch of the rebuilt website. Now, you guys will notice when we relaunch our website, it won't look much different on the front end. That's because the project has been to rebuild the back end to support all the traffic we have been seeing. We've also been looking at releasing the 2026 Route 12 guide. That's going to be coming out here shortly, 1,000 copies of that. That's double the print run from last year. And we're looking forward to attending 4 consumer shows as well as 2 external events. So Calgary Outdoor Adventure Show is the big one up there for us, but we are going to be evaluating the Boat and Sportsman Show in Edmonton, as well as looking at other opportunities in Leduc and Cochrane and some of these other areas surrounding major municipal centers. Also, you're going to notice that we're doing more digital these days. Why? Because our spring campaign shows the numbers. We could have anywhere between 970,000 or 1.9 million impressions through 10 different providers all throughout Western Canada, reaching out into Saskatoon, Winnipeg, even the Pacific Northwest. So spreading the word, it's what we do. And of course, cover shot for you guys right there. How can you argue with that? That is the confirmed cover shot, by the way. Once again, annual general meeting is on April 14th, 2026. If you guys can attend, we'd love to have you there. It's always a good time. Last time we were at Blind Man Brewing, and unfortunately it was a little early to have a drink, but thank you, Mayor Hibbs, for attending. We were glad to see you there. So also we want to talk more about job creation in the sector, and we want to collect and share more of our local industry research that we have. So these are things that we're looking forward to doing in 2026. So with that, short and sweet and to the point, and if you guys have some questions, I think we're ready. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for that presentation. It is obviously very important aspect of our community is to draw people to both Lacombe itself, proper, the city, as well as the region. Are there any questions? This is all new for most of council. I have one question if nobody's quite ready. When it comes to advertising, for example, or not advertising, that's not what I mean, posts on social media, how do you sort of, like, what sort of calculations do you use as to, you know, if you are sharing like a paid sponsorship versus, you know, just a community that's involved in the organization as a whole? How do you, you know, math that out?
So the math is based on a 365-day calendar, based on how many posts we can put out a day and keep engagement high. So over the past 5 years, we've noticed and we've tried, you know, a 3 post a day strategy or 2 post a day strategy, even a 1 post a day. And we've gone down to even, you know, a post every 2 days. So we take that 365 by the post strategy that we have at the time. So currently we are posting about once a day, with avoiding specific weekends, because during those high travel weekends, doesn't matter what you put out, you're not seeing driving traffic. So we don't promise a certain number to our membership, but we take that, divide it. So you'll have 365 divided by 70 gives you a rough number of posts that we aim to achieve every single day. Is it a perfect math? No, it is not. But that's how we kind of work that number. Now, if you are a non-member, doesn't mean we don't talk about you. You're still going to be receiving posts. We're still responsible for promoting assets in the community that are not paid members. We just don't talk about them as much. And that's where the math kind of gets into discretion and balance of content and what is engaging. So it's not a perfect science. To give your answer to the perfect math, it's not perfect math, but it's fair, as fair as we can make it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, that's fair. It would be very difficult. You've got a lot of different interests to
Yes.
balance. How many communities do you represent?
Currently, we represent 7.
7 communities. Okay,
Yes.
and is that counties as well as municipalities
That
like
does
ourselves?
include county and communities inside.
Okay.
So,
Can you give us the furthest apart, so I can
of
just
course, so the
geographic wise?
furthest apart right now that we represent would be Bentley to Alex.
To Alex. Okay.
So, but keeping in mind, Lacombe County is broad, and we have members that are well beyond those lines.
Okay.
We did see the withdrawal, to be fair and honest with everybody here, of the town of Eckville, just simply because they were going through some staff hiring, from what I understand, and repositioning themselves. And we are looking forward to continue to work with the members in that community, as well as looking forward to working with them in the future as well.
Okay. Councillor Proud, I believe you had a question or comment?
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs. I just had a question when I saw the information about Red Deer Polytechnique.
Yes,
Do you have collaboration with Berman University here in Lacombe?
we have had many talks with Berman. None have fully come to fruition yet, but we talk with them probably 2 to 3 times a year about collaboration, marketing, working with students. I forget, it's not an internship, but a cooperative program, even taking on work study students. So we've always been an organization that loves to work with them. We've been pulling students as far from Kamloops, from Thompson Rivers University, which is my alma mater, but we would work happily with anyone from the local as well. And we've been pretty blessed with the relationships that we have with Berman.
Councillor Dyslake?
Thank you for the presentation. My short few meetings I've had already have been enlightening as I sit on this board, and thank you for the work and the contributions to the members there. One question I haven't asked at a meeting is the membership question. You say about 70, it fluctuates. Are we riding up, like up higher than normal, or is it an average of 7 over the last 5 years, or
So
70, pardon me, not 7?
it's about, to be fair, we've been growing. So
Good.
about 5 years ago, we had 12, and that was
Oh.
including communities and businesses. So I had as many members as we had seats on the board. And so we have seen that grow from, like I said, 2 communities mainly being the main contributors, the city of Lacombe and Lacombe County, to including our external communities like the Village of Alex, Village of Clive, City of Lacombe, Town of Bentley, Town of Eckville. We've even had other communities outside the region knock on our door and say, "Hi, how do we get in?" So we've been very successful in seeing that, as well as seeing some untraditional business members come in as well. So businesses that wouldn't be classified as service sector or tourism have come and talked with us as well. So we represent everything from ski hills to breweries and retail to commercial. So it's a broad spectrum. And so have we seen a slowdown in growth? Yes. We had some great expansion in our 3rd year where we jumped by 30 members. Last year, we jumped by about 5. So we've seen a little bit of slowdown, but is to be expected with the economy and local business at this time.
Thank you. Great information.
Any further questions or comments? Does not appear to be so. Oh, sorry, I missed your light. C.A. O'Gowdy.
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs, to our presenter. Thanks for the information this evening. One thing that always surprises me is that Lacombe County's in there, City of Lacombe's in there, no Town of Blackfalds. Is there anything that this council could do to support you guys growing your membership with that one crucial additional member?
So I can actually speak positively about that. In the last year, we've had great success in talking with the economic development officer in the town of Blackfalds. So much so that the partnership looks very, very promising there at this point. They did end up buying a modified package with us. So this is, and it was much larger than anticipated, which is great. As for council here, I would just continue to ask that with your town of Blackfalds counterparts, that you continue to tell them about the good work and what the value of tourism is, and why the city of Lacombe has made a 20-year investment into the development of this industry as a whole. That information we provided additional, all supported by Travel Alberta, Tourism Industry Association of Alberta, Government of Alberta, also more saying the same thing. The industry is growing. It's one of the largest exports the province has, and being involved in managing its growth is critical. So I can say that the town of Blackfalds is looking very exciting as we go forward, and hopefully in the fall I will have more to report on at that time.
Councillor Contenti.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Just wondering if you can explain how your funding model works.
That's a good one. So.
I know little about it, so it'd be interesting.
It's a good one. So our funding model is based off of a per capita model. So when it was first implemented, it was about $4.20 per taxpayer across. Now that was developed from the mean of the city of Lacombe. So the city of Lacombe at the time was the largest, or still is the largest community contributing member. We divided the population by that amount, got our per capita member, which is funny enough, the standard per capita amount across the province, and implemented it across the board. So that's how we got our communities to buy in at a fair per capita model rate. As for our membership, that was up to our discretion and what the market would bear. There are tourism groups that charge business memberships of $600 to $700 a business, and don't provide nearly as many services as we do. And as for advertising, it's once again what the market will bear. So we took information from the region, what the advertising sales would as well, and put it to use. So our funding model, as you can see, has a few different streams to it, but it's a fair per capita model that we've implemented across the board. And every community at this time is paying approximately $4.30, $4.35. There's a couple that are a little higher. There's a couple that are a little lower. Just depends on if they felt generous that year or not. You know what I mean?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Anything further? Does not appear to be so. Well, thank you for taking the time to come and present to us. I think that's been very informative. Good to see the new guide. I'll have a better look at it a little bit later, but I appreciate that. Yeah, that I can excuse you from the presenter table, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here tonight, and we look forward to working with you in the future. And a warning to those who like the hats, they do get a little warm in the summer, so just be prepared. Black hats with 35 degrees, I have experience, I can tell you.
They're lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that would bring us then to our second presentation of the evening. We have Mr. Salvatore. If you want to come and take the presenting table, that would be a good time. So this presentation is on the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, or CAPE for short. Very timely as we have a new council, and so obviously I'll let you describe what it is that your organization does, but thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. 20 years ago, I'd be sitting in these council chambers, perhaps with the CAO, as a young upstart administrators in municipal government. Through the years, I've focused my time and attention on not just municipal government, but also economic development. About 9 months ago, my firm, Municipal Experts, took the contract for Central Alberta Economic Partnership. So myself and my partner have been delivering the operation of Central Alberta Economic Partnership during that time. Our first steps along the way were to recognize where we were at and where CAPE had been in the past. Oh, I have the power.
Yes, you do.
Okay, sorry, last week in Innisfail, I did not have the power. So of course, the question is, what is CAPE? 20 years ago, the first meeting I attended as the Economic Development Officer for the town of Lacombe was in Ponoka. I walked in the door. A gentleman by the name of Andre Tremblay was the executive director at the time. He's currently doing other things with the provincial government. I became aware of what CAPE was, and it's an organization that was founded in the early 2000s through an initiative of Mayor Gail Surcan at the time, who piloted a project through the provincial government to do regional economic development. What that meant was thinking bigger than just one municipality. Over the years, Cape has surged and fluctuated over time based on funding from the provincial government, if that sounds familiar. I know there's people in the room that fully understand the impact that the province has on funding. Cape has gone through ups and downs throughout that time. You may have heard the term Part 9 corporation being used, whether it's here for the city of Lacombe and various boards and commissions that you're part of, or in conversations that have taken place recently in the city of Red Deer, referring to their new economic development initiative called Drive. Cape has always been a Part 9 corporation. This gives us the true power of 175 elected officials and 25 plus municipalities of different shapes and sizes. Of course, it's always a challenge to satisfy when you have that number of clients that you come to work to serve every day. Our economic development professionals like myself provide access to the knowledge that you might need and advice on the topic of economic development. But also our board of directors represents everything from the smallest community, Clive, would be one of our smallest communities, to the city of Red Deer. A year ago, my company was presenting the investment attraction plan for Lacombe County. That was an initiative working directly with them. We take that knowledge of investment attraction, in addition to time that I spent with Calgary Economic Development, and look through a different lens when we talk about what we need to do in Central Alberta. And of course, it's a great time to think about a sandwich. When I talk about Central Alberta, and generally if I'm talking to someone from Calgary or Edmonton or outside of Alberta, they ask me where that is. And I say, we're the meat in the sandwich between Calgary and Edmonton. In other words, we're the high protein piece that has the most value to offer. My goal is to make sure that we are known in Central Alberta as Alberta's third largest economy, and that we work together as a team to develop that message and ensure that in the future investment comes our way. At the same time, I will say economic development is what you want it to be. And every community has a unique version of economic development that they feel is important to them. So what might work in the city of Lacombe may not work elsewhere. But part of that process is asking the question, what do you really want? Another way of describing Cape is to say what we are not. We're not a replacement for your own economic development officer. We fill the gaps between that and some of the other things that you may not be doing because they're not considered to be the highest priority for you day to day in terms of developing your tax base. We're not the development and control office. We don't say no. We are not a direct funder. However, we do make an effort to go out and get grants that will support you so that you can participate in Cape at a reduced rate. In other words, when you apply for a grant, there's time and there's effort associated with that. We take on that responsibility, and that frees up your time, not only to pay half price or better for a grant application that we feel will give you the most outcomes, but also will just move you forward. We're also not a replacement for Community Futures or the Chamber of Commerce, but we do work with them to identify the priorities through the provincial government or the federal government. But we know where their strengths are in terms of helping to build the entrepreneur side of the equation and provide access to different loans. We know that's their forte. We are not partial to any one municipality, but we also say the communities that work with us and participate get the most value out of their relationship. We don't see it working if you decide that you want to sign up to be a member of CAPE and then you're not present, you're not part of the action, part of the conversation. Those that do really well want to put things on the table, discuss them, and then identify strategies that we can put into motion. We also understand it's not our place to attract mega projects. There's a couple of organizations in Alberta that provide those services. Invest Alberta and Invest Canada are generally those that are targeting developments in the 50 million plus category. You may have heard some announcements in the town of Olds regarding a data center. That's not something that CAPE's going to bring to you. What we do, however, is help you get ready for the kinds of opportunities that you want to see. We call that investment readiness. I just wanted to do a bit of a brief history. We sort of touched on it already, but currently we have 1.25 FTEs as part of the contract to deliver the service. We do everything we possibly can to act like a startup. We deliver a very lean program, and we identified the priorities that make the most sense and will give the most impact to our members. When CAPE started in 1998, it was founded. It moved on to have 4 Government of Alberta staff, offices in downtown Red Deer, and 40-member municipalities at peak, representing about $1 million per year in budget. As we get into 2016 and beyond, we start to see gradual winding down of funding from the province. In fact, that will continue to happen for us in the next 2 years. As our operating grant from the province will be erased, we will be replacing that with the improved relationships and building new relationships with our industry partners. So when we talk about utilities companies, we talk about big players in the area like Nova, MEG, and Dow. We think about those things and those really providing us with the path forward. So of course, the question is, there is all kinds of different types of economic development. You could say that economic development comes in different shapes and in different layers. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we don't replace the economic development department here. You have, there's so many different options for you to consider when you talk about economic development. Your focus, if you're going into a strategic plan, is to consider what that means to you and to make sure that you understand where you want to focus your energy for local economic development. Part of that will often come in the form of business retention and expansion. About 80% of your community can attribute jobs to the businesses that are growing or the businesses that are expanding, and you want to retain them here. We fill kind of this 20% piece where we provide you with the tools so that when you are thinking about bigger things to attract to the community, you have those. But we also provide capacity building services. So when we talk about some of the educational programs that we offer later on this month, we've got one in Sylvan Lake on the 24th and in Red Deer, I believe, on the 30th. Those are courses that you can take to become more familiar with what economic development is and how you can play better within the landscape of economic development. We like to say we empower investment attraction in Central Alberta. We provide that access to economic development expertise. We're currently working on improving the way that we present the information so that there's a data portal relative to what metrics are key to the region. So if that means there are sectors that are of importance here, that we provide a story about those sectors, and we're able to communicate those to prospective investors that may come to the region. A few of the other things that we've done are investment profile. So each of our members has kind of a data mini site on our website that talks a little bit about what's happening in each of the communities. Again, we're just moving into another phase of the provincial funding cycle for projects. So those are grants that we've applied for to have economic development dashboards built for each of our communities. We're also looking into, well, I guess we've been engaged in a pretty consistent government relations strategy. When you have 175 elected officials, there's potential to do more connections with different orders of government, and also piggybacking on different programs that we're launching. I think another key for many of our members is the opportunity to network with other communities in the region and talk about economic development. So I'd invite you to consider joining us at Wolf Creek Golf and Country Club on May the 8th for our annual general meeting. That will give you a little bit of insight into the types of things that we're connecting our members to. This year, we'll be bringing in Plug and Play, which is a venture capital organization based out of Silicon Valley, to do a presentation on different funding opportunities. In addition to that, I'll be talking to some of the investment individuals from Travel Alberta that will be coming to speak to that topic as well, and very timely with Lacombe Regional Tourism here in the room this evening. Here are our current board of directors. Of course, what we've discovered is if you host a board election of less than a month after your organizational meeting, it's a little bit complicated to get everything organized. But in the end, we have an excellent group of representatives. We've got industry reps from Red Deer Polytech, as well as Rocky Mountain House has a business rep, and so does Kneehill County. Representation from Montana Nation through Leonard Standing on the Road, and our other board members from different parts of the region. We are currently reviewing our articles of association to reflect that population is the bigger driver than the title of the community that you live in. Of note is the fact that we've got the town of Sylvan Lake approaching the same population as Red Deer County. All right, so back in September, we hosted an international site selector conference in Red Deer that made it possible for us to pose all kinds of different questions of site selectors. Those are the people who would say, oh, you have a location, this is the kind of business that we can connect you with to land that business in your community. Part of that was to do a tour. So we went through parts of Red Deer County, the city of Red Deer, hosted actually golf here at Lacombe Golf and Country Club as part of that, and made our way through Joffrey, Prentice, MEG, town of Lacombe, Blackfalds, Sylvan Lake, and Deep Sky, the carbon capture storage facility in Innisfail, kind of painting a picture to them about what Central Alberta is all about and the opportunities that best fit us moving forward. As we completed that, we also did a series of regional profiles for Central Alberta for participating members. There are some projects that we offer that are sort of an add-on feature. Usually when we get grant funding, we will then discount that project by the amount of the grant to make that more accessible for our members. You may also have heard of the Howes Pass and the Highway 11 corridor running through Nordegg and potentially through to the town of Golden in BC. looking at that corridor for future growth as an economic corridor by definition of the federal government. But we do have a study that we'll be releasing here in the next week or so that will tell more about what that looks like in the months and years ahead. Let's see. I mentioned the workshops. Team Central Alberta is our industry partnership program. That's when I spoke earlier about inviting some of the key employers in the region as well as major industry to have conversations about what makes sense through CEO roundtables to discuss what sort of things do we need to work on to build a cluster around Joffrey and Prentice, but also what other opportunities are ripe in the region. A lot of that focus has to do with specific sectors. We consider 5 key sectors that we have the right to win. Those would include logistics and transportation, agriculture, petrochemical, and carbon capture storage. In other words, the new carbon economy, but also adding in forestry in some of the western parts of our region. And of course, we consider tourism another sector that we all believe deserves support through investment, not through marketing necessarily. We would leave that to the good work of Lacombe Regional Tourism and the others that are doing that in the communities. As we go into 2026, we're talking more about a regional land development investment attraction strategy. What that means is to work with our municipalities and with support from different planning organizations to streamline some of the planning bylaws and plans that are out there so that when a business comes to invest, they have a good sense of the way business is done across the region. A good example of that would be Alberta's industrial heartland, just to the east of Edmonton, where they've had a very good history and track record of attracting business, reducing some of the barriers to investment, but also bringing more people to the table. We'll be offering, I mentioned already, the Economic Development Advisory Services to our members. If they have special projects that they would like some advice on, we're happy to share that. And also to identify international market development opportunities. Red Deer Polytech, as an example, will be attending a trade show in April called Hanover Messe. Down the road, we're looking at ways that we can join those initiatives and put a banner internationally into the mix with help from Team Alberta and Team Canada. As well, we did offer a elected officials and industry partners presentation called The Secret Sauce, Economic Development for new people to economic development. We have a series of lunch and learn activities to learn more about different topic areas. And I did mention some of the changes to our website as well as our data portal. We've tried to increase our exposure through social media, and primarily with LinkedIn, but also we have an MOU draft that we're working on with Red Deer Polytech that would make more students available to our municipal partners. Yeah, I talked a little bit about the Articles of Association and making sure that our structure is relevant and adaptable for today and the years to come. And I'm open for questions.
All right. Do we have any questions? Councillor Dykes-Laig.
This is all new to me. We're not currently a member. Is this why you're here today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I will mention, though, the current membership rate is 90 cents per capita. Just so you, because I know Councillor Contenti, you made that question for the previous presenter.
Councillor Dykes-Laig, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you. That was going to be my next question. So great anticipation there. I wanted to understand the funding before. There was government money that has
Yeah.
all but disappeared from what you
Yeah,
presented.
well, we're on a 3-year wind down. We're in year 2 of a 3-year wind down from provincial funding. So we did have an annual operational grant for $125,000 per year. This year, that will be cut in half. Half of that has to be project-specific funding, and the other half is operational funding. Next year, that will go to 0 operational funding, and then eventually we will lose the project funding as well.
So just, thank you. Just to follow up to that. So then in your presentation, you spoke about your projects don't look for mega projects. Or
Mhm.
your mandate isn't looking for mega projects. But did I hear you say you'd be looking for funding from the megas, so to speak?
Not exactly. Like what we will do is if we are in the conversation about a different opportunity, the way it works today is I'll just maybe briefly explain how it works with Invest Alberta. So what will happen is Invest Alberta, this is an organization that was started up about 5 years ago by the province. They have a team in Edmonton. They're out there. They've got offices globally that they intercept inquiries regarding investment. What will happen is they will get a hold of one of those opportunities, and depending on what the criteria is, they will fan that out to municipal and regional partners. And then that municipality will have the opportunity to respond to that inquiry. That can be almost like a lottery ticket in some ways, because you don't know exactly who it is. It's always like Project X, and you don't know anything more other than it requires this amount of land, meets these servicing requirements. And in the end, if you kind of are able to jump through a few hoops, you might get into the short list. That takes time and effort for any applicant, whether it's the city of Red Deer or Clive, if Clive wanted to do something like that. So in our case, we don't participate directly in that, but we will forward those queries on to our members. You may already be on the list, and that's fine. Like anything that happens in the region that moves us all forward is great as far as we're concerned. So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on the professional development or support that you offer elected officials versus, for example, senior administration?
Mhm.
Just kind of what that look. I assume at sometimes they're probably similar, but at times they may be different. Do you want to just elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Most of our training that we offer is through the Economic Development Association of Alberta. So they have a range of programming that's available. When we offer it, it works very well because oftentimes if you were to bring in EDA just for, say, the city of Lacombe, you may or may not get a full room attending, although you could certainly invite your neighbors and others in the region to participate. We feel that by offering those education programs through EDA, that opens the opportunity to more people. And then those that participate can, over time, develop or their credentials towards certification. On a more informal basis, it's more about talking with you informally about investment readiness. I like to say investment readiness, if I were to put it in similar terms in the municipal government setting, is that you fund fire trucks and you fund all the equipment that they need for the fire. And the question is, when's the fire? Nobody really knows, but you do that because you know eventually there's going to be something. When I talk about investment readiness, if you're wanting to attract business to come to your community, you need to be ready. You need to answer a few questions about how is your industrial land inventory? Do you know, like, what is your boundary? Being very familiar with the city of Lacombe, I know where that is, but maybe you're thinking in terms of your municipal development plan down the road of a growth area and how you might want to respond to that. On the other side, I mean, I fully appreciate the efforts that you've made over the last several weeks in regard to the federal government's research station announced closure. We would want to have those conversations, and certainly I reached out to Matt and his cohort with the Lacombe County to talk about different ways that that could be approached. It's very much in the political arena at this time. That's important. The key to all of it, I think, is just the dialogue. I say that since I started, and I'll say this about economic development entirely, it's a relationship business. The more people that you know, the more you can connect to, the more likely you're going to land something that fits and sticks. So that's how I approach it, and that's how I would want to make sure that the more involved our communities are, the more likely things will happen in the future. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, really it's about participating in those networking events, getting to know more of your partners, learning the language of economic development and what that means, but also understanding what your personal goals are here as elected officials and as the community. What does the future of economic development look like in the city of Lacombe? That's not a question I can answer. That's one that you'll have to develop over time. And then we would want to be able to click that message and that understanding with the opportunities that fit down the road.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Span.
On that slide where it was talking about where does Cape fit? One of the things it talked about was business retention and expansion.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure.
Practical things that you are able
Yeah,
to do
so
to work on that?
I'll just do a hypothetical. So let's say that there's a brewery in the city of Lacombe, and it's a very successful brewery, and they're running into some form of a struggle. You, from a business expansion and retention perspective, would want to ensure that you, A, understood that that is happening by having more of a business outreach program to talk to them about what the hurdles are that they're facing. Is it an increase in tax? Are there other factors there? Are there municipal policies or federal or provincial policies that are impacting more than they should? Is it a tariff and trade situation, which we are all very familiar with hearing about these days? Then you would identify strategies for sort of addressing that. Now, the other side would be expansion. That brewery is very successful. It's not really struggling, but it's at the point where it needs to expand, and it's going to outgrow its current location. And it needs more land in order to do that, or it needs at least a footprint increase in the building size, or it could be a brand new building that will accommodate that growth. So that would be an expansion example. Retention would be, we've got AFSC over here. What is their current situation, and understanding where they're at? Can we identify any potential future issues, and then sort of look at it like you're almost in that, getting back into that emergency planning part about if something were to change, what would we want to do to better leverage an outcome that would favor the city of Lacombe? So I would sort of put it in those terms. Oftentimes, an economic development officer in a municipality will spend a good part of their time in that business retention and expansion area. But again, it's very specific to whatever community is, whichever situation. And those are things that you would have to think about. The other 20% is usually that investment attraction. That's bringing things from the outside to your community. And by doing that in a combination of other things, the key is readiness. If you're ready, then you can respond. If someone knocks on the door or shows up at your planning department window and says, here's what I want to do, and you haven't considered that option that they're proposing, because you can't possibly perceive every opportunity that's going to happen. But are you keeping your plans reasonably current and flexible so that you can make things happen? We like to say, opening the door to a yes, reducing friction, and making it, another way of putting that is this a business-friendly community? And what does that mean? These are all things that you need to define as an organization to be successful.
Just to follow up on that,
Yes.
what would make a business reach out to you guys? How do they know that you're there to
Well,
let you know about those problems that you can then bring to council?
Yeah, I mean, we would primarily work with our member municipalities to identify some of the things that they need. We may receive a call and then ask ourselves, where do you want to go? But some of the big questions, like, and this happens in every economic development office, it's about industrial land, servicing, roads, water, wastewater, electrical power, gas, all of those services. Specifically for a new build, but it could be an existing property. Do you know your realtors? What do they offer as a commercial realtor? What opportunities are there? I can remember back in my day, the Berman University had this massive structure on the north end of the campus. It was a former furniture factory, right? And one of the owners of the property approached me back, quite a few years ago and said, we're really having a hard time finding a tenant for this, whatever, 100,000 square foot property. And I just looked at him and I said, maybe you're going to sell industrial condos. And that's exactly what he did. And then that place now I know has several businesses within because it fit the demand for what people were looking for. So just understanding that makes a big difference for how you can make decisions in the future. Sort of thinking a little outside of the box in that case, literally outside of the box, because it would have been a very big box to remarket.
Very good. All right, I think we have heard the presentation. Thank you for coming out and doing that so that we could better understand CAPE and its sort of metamorphosis over the years, because it has changed in the time that I've been familiar with it. So I do very much appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so then that moves us along in our agenda to requests for decision. We do have two items under that section. Our first is 6.1, Alberta Municipalities 2026 Call for Resolutions. I have Director Thompson that will be speaking to that.
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs, and good evening, Council. In response to the Council resolution on February 9th, 2026, to strike Committee of the Whole meeting to discuss the AB Muni's 2026 Call for Resolutions, this report provides Council with an overview of the Alberta Municipalities resolution process and outlines possible next steps following the 2026 Call for Resolutions. Alberta Municipalities has issued its annual call for member resolutions for debate at the 2026 AB Munis Convention in Edmonton on September 23rd to 25th. If adopted by the general membership, resolutions guide AB Munis advocacy efforts with the provincial and federal governments. The deadline for municipalities to submit resolutions for the convention is May 31st, 2026, and each resolution must be approved by the sponsoring municipality and seconded by another municipality. If a resolution is passed at the 2026 convention, AB Munis sends the resolution to the relevant ministry within the provincial government. The government provides a response. AB Munis assigns priority and develops an advocacy strategy. The progress is tracked and reported to members, and then they hold resolutions on their books for up to 3 years. The resolution process can be a useful advocacy tool. Both CO Gowdy and I have sat on several AB Munis committees where we have seen their work guided by member resolutions. But I do want to highlight that getting a resolution prepared and securing a seconding municipality does require administrative effort and political endurance, and there is no guarantee of success. According to the 2024 AB Munis Resolutions Report Card, approximately 65% of provincial responses were classified as intent not met. For that reason, it is important to select a topic council is prepared to champion over the longer term. With respect to some recent council direction, council has already engaged AB Munis rather, through a similar advocacy process this year, requesting AB Munis to advocate to the Government of Canada to pause and reconsider the closure of the research station pending a full impact assessment and engagement with affected municipalities. As a result, council may wish to consider whether to pursue an additional resolution this year or focus advocacy efforts on the research station closure and revisit the resolution process in 2027. The recommended motion today is simply to schedule a committee of the whole meeting on March 16th to discuss potential resolution topics and determine whether council wishes to proceed. This is in direct response to the February 9th direction. However, as an alternative, council could also choose to discuss the matter today. If council wished to proceed immediately, it could pass a resolution directly or direct administration to prepare a draft resolution and undertake research or outreach to identify a seconding municipality. Of course, if that one were to be council's direction, we would need some indication on the topic so that we could do that. And that concludes my overview of the AB Munis resolution process. There's more information in the report and on the AB Munis website. I'm happy to support your discussion on this item.
Thank you, Director Thompson. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we've ever brought, other than the one we're going to bring forward, ever brought a resolution, not in any recent history anyways, to Alberta Munis for consideration by the group. So this would be a little bit of a first. I know Councillor Span had some thoughts about this. I don't know if you have any initial thoughts on this item, just in regards to what Director Thompson has brought forward.
Thoughts as far as what I would like to bring forward, or thoughts as far as whether we should go ahead with a committee of the whole meeting or discuss it tonight?
And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe anybody has anything pressing that they're wanting to bring forward, but I could be wrong. But I guess your thoughts on whether you would like to see a committee of the whole that would be dedicated to discussing that, or if that's something that you're prepared to do tonight, or if the council is prepared to have that discussion tonight.
Through Mayor Hibbs to the rest of council, I'm open to whatever council feels would be the better route to go. I can give a bit of an idea of what my thoughts have been on the resolution that I would like to bring forward to Alberta Munis. As you all know, I work in the investment world. Over the last 6 months, I've really dove into the MGA and the restrictions on investments that the province has put on municipalities. They're fairly heavily restrictive and they limit the returns we can be seeing, those types of things. And as I see more and more costs being downloaded to municipalities, I see us trying to manage these costs with one hand tied behind our back. Where I would like to see, if they're downloading these costs, I would like to see them give us further flexibility with what we do with our reserves and other investments. So that's part of the direction that I would like to go with the resolution I would want to bring forward. I feel it does meet the mandate of AB Munis and their idea to the impact that it has on all municipalities across Alberta and not just our own.
Is council interested in entertaining the idea of having a committee of the whole, whether that's March 16th, so that would be next Monday, or at a future date that obviously precedes the deadline of the end of May? Feedback from council? Or would you prefer to do as was perhaps mentioned in the memo as well, is to hold off on a further resolution to AB Munis at this time and potentially put that forward at a later date? Thoughts? Councillor De Bresser.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Hibbs. My thoughts is, since we've got strategic planning coming up and some stuff may come out of that, I'm more in favour of deferring it to Councillor Span's direction there. I would say the MGA is restrictive to a certain extent, but I think the knowledge and whatnot, it goes to the investment brokers that the city uses, and they have access to products that on the surface may look restrictive, but however, there's a myriad of principal protected notes linked to equities, linked to a lot of things. So maybe it's more of an education thing that we can expand the knowledge there. Administration wants to jump on and kind of give a bit more of a feedback there. My thought, however, at this stage, I think we need to get through strat planning. If there's a major topic that we all agree on, we can defer it until 2027. Would be my stance.
Any further thoughts? Councillor Goings.
Thank you. Excuse me. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor Hibbs. I agree with Councillor DeBresser. I think it'd probably be a good idea to go through strat planning, see what we can come up with as a group, and then move forward from there.
Sorry, Councillor Dyke.
In regards to the research station, I first of all, I like the thinking about delaying, but we cannot delay if there's any resolutions we want in regards to the research station. And are we thinking that that might be a direction we want to take? Should that be a conversation at committee of the whole? Is it going to benefit anything at this point in time that we put that on the record and get a second municipality to join forces on that? Or are we thinking it's going to be too late because this doesn't happen till the spring anyways? Is there any thought on the research station piece? Because to me, that's immediate and we would need to do something on Monday. The other part, I agree, strat planning and thinking around that is going to be important. And then we'll know the direction we want to take as a council, more so as a whole at that point in time. So that's my only comment on the possibility of Monday.
Okay. I would guess I would reach that out to administration for comment. Is there anything further that we need to do right now in regards to our emergent motion, or sorry, resolution that may be coming to the spring Alberta municipalities?
So no, not for the spring resolution. That's already submitted and will be going ahead. However, if you saw benefit to renew it in the fall, you could start that process now. I'm not sure you would need to, that there'd be like a new benefit, but to Mayor Hibbs' point, we have not done these before, so it could be worthwhile. I will just caution though, committee meetings, such as the one that you would potentially hold on Monday, are not a decision-making format for council. So you would still have to have a subsequent meeting or included at a subsequent meeting for any action to be taken.
So what I'm hearing at this moment in time from council is that there is probably likely not support for committee of the whole meeting for March 16th or anytime very near future to discuss an additional call to resolution, but I could be mistaken. Councillor Span.
Just to address a couple of the points that Councillor DeBresser made there. I don't feel like bringing another resolution will be very time consuming at this point, even if we wanted to do something, come to a decision tonight on this. I also, as far as the point I'm making with some of these things about flexibility and investment, I don't think having more flexibility for municipalities is a bad thing. I do realize there is some flexibility, but it doesn't negate the point that there are heavy restrictions on investment options to municipalities. And that's something I would like to see get addressed. If they're giving us, provincial government level expenses, then I want to see us have, some of the flexibility that they have to manage their investments.
Councillor Contenti.
Thank you, Mayor Herbst. Councillor Span. I was at some of those meetings many years ago about some of those restrictions, and memory serves me, and I can't be quoted, is that they were put in to protect the municipality because some were getting themselves into trouble by over-investing, overreaching. So I think it's probably maybe education piece that maybe administration can look in and help us better understand exactly why the restrictions. what they are and some of the nuances around it, because I'm not prepared at this time to bring forward that resolution because I don't know enough about it, but I do remember protection for a municipality, and that's why some of the restrictions.
Councillor DeBresser.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Hibbs. To administration, would it be timely to get CIBC Wood Gundy, our long-term investment brokers here to present? And definitely we can ask the harder questions on the asset mix, the investment strategies that within the MGA, because I think to my knowledge, it is broad, but it's all principal protected, and we are investing taxpayers' money to have a variety of investment options that could go against, a little bit more risky, more return type of thing. But I think, a presentation from them, they'd be probably more than happy to come and present to a new council on what we have got invested, the returns that they're seeking, that type of information at a future meeting, if that's agreeable.
That rather sounds like a motion, I think, actually. So that would be to direct administration to arrange a presentation from our investment company, I guess. And with no specific date, but just at the next possible opportunity. CEO Gowdy?
Yes, certainly. We usually have them come over the summer. I'm sure they'd be happy to come here earlier, and we'll reach out and get a couple of dates and just coordinate them with your existing presentations.
Very well.
Should this pass, sorry.
Should this pass. So are we clear on what that motion is? Looks that way. All right. I will have to let IT catch up with our on the fly again. There we go. That council directs administration to arrange a presentation to council from, sorry, it's slow on mine here, from the investment management team of the city. Understandable? Very well. Okay, that motion has been made by Councillor DeBresser. I'll call the question. All those in favor, or sorry, please enter your vote. And it is all green. It is a unanimous vote. All right, we will move on then from that item. 6.2, procurement policy update.
Thank you. This is a scheduled update to the city's procurement policy. It is primarily administrative rather than proposing a change to the city's purchasing practice. And council is being asked to rescind the 2021 policy and replace it with the 2026 version. The key change in this policy is with respect to procurement or purchasing thresholds. A procurement threshold is the dollar value that determines the purchasing process we must follow. As the value of a purchase increases, the level of open competition and formality required also increases. So municipalities by design, so municipalities in most cases cannot favor local suppliers or restrict competition above those limits. These limits come from various trade agreements. There's a number of them in Western Canada. There's national trade agreements and there's international trade agreements. And these kind of more local trade agreements kind of roll up to meet national or international requirements. And so this is how various provinces in our case allow for open competition from our contractors and our suppliers to be competitive with ones in BC or Saskatchewan or Manitoba, for example. And so this trade agreement that we're most affected by kind of levels the playing field for all suppliers and contractors above a certain value in purchases. The most significant change in the policy is how procurement thresholds are referenced. The policy currently lists fixed dollar amounts, and the proposed policy instead indexes those thresholds to the limits established in applicable trade agreements, such as the Canada Free Trade Agreement and CETA. In practice, today, this does not change how the city currently procures goods and services. Another trade agreement, the New West Partnership thresholds that apply to Alberta municipalities have not changed in many years, and so the impact is negligible today. But the benefit is that future threshold adjustments will automatically apply, avoiding the need for council to repeatedly amend the policy whenever a trade agreement updates their limits. And so the National Trade Agreement does update their limits regularly. The New West Partnership hasn't updated them in some time, but it's a matter of time before they adjust those as well. The key change number 2 is clarifying language related to CAO discretion in the procurement decisions. The current policy allows the CAO discretion in applying procurement procedures as a sound business decision, but the wording unintentionally ties this authority to the sole sourcing section, which creates some confusion. The revised policy clarifies that such discretion must align with the core procurement principles set out in the policy, namely transparency, fairness, integrity, and best value. And this keeps the necessary flexibility for complex or time-sensitive situations while reinforcing the values council expects procurement decisions to reflect, always within the bounds of the law and trade agreement thresholds. And the other changes in the policy are minor formatting and clarity for improvements in understanding to make the policy easier to read and to administer. That's my presentation, Council, and happy to support your discussion.
Thank you, Director Thompson. Do we have any questions on this item? There are 2 separate recommended motions, just FYI. Councillor Contenti.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hibbs. Dr. Thompson. So if I'm looking at this, the thresholds in the New West Partnership are much the same that we have in our policy. 75,000 greater goods, less than 75, greater than 75 up to 200. That hasn't changed in the partnership. So what you're saying is by quoting the partnership agreement, we can be more flexible than having to put those numbers or having those numbers in now. And 2 years from now, when something changes in the partnership agreement, we don't have to come back and redo this policy. Is that one part of the?
That's exactly right. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Councillor Dykes-Legg.
Another new world to me, this. What is MASH?
It's the municipal agency sector. I don't know the acronym, but it's municipalities. Municipalities, school boards, health regions, and publicly funded post-secondary institutions.
Municipalities, school boards, health boards.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor DeBresser.
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs. Yeah, I just had a question about, I always get nervous when there's a discretion to override policy. So can you give me a practical example of where a situation would occur that the CEO's discretion would have to come into play to override a policy?
Sure. So there's many times, or not say many times, but there are times when we have a contract with a consultant or a contractor where there is good sound reason to expand the scope. And instead of cutting off that scope and sending it out to the market to bid on it, the continuation of work that's already done, whether it be physically in the area or it's in an area of study that's already being undertaken and approved by council, that expanding it within reason and for sound good business decisions would allow for a smooth and efficient, I guess, inclusion of that additional scope into the project. It is, I mean, yeah, and so what we often debate when we're doing that is, would this have materially changed the decision from the onset if the scope was known or thought of at the time it was presented to council? And if the answer is yes, that council might have made a different decision or may have adjusted their or may not have adjusted the budget knowing this information. Then we almost like every time we'll bring it back and say this is something that council needs to know about and it has to be debated openly. But usually it's things that are minor, whether it's an extension of a contract by a smaller dollar amount, or through the scope of an expansion of the scope within a different within the contract. It's something that we would from time to time use and lean on that flexibility, and it allows us to have that debate and that discussion for efficiency. We'll turn over to CEO Gowdy if he has something more to say.
CEO Gowdy.
That was a pretty good example. That was good. So one that I recall from earlier in my career, we were acquiring a emergency backup power generator, trailer mounted unit, using there was a grant available at the time. And so we developed a specification and, how much power it has to have, the cleanliness of the power, that sort of thing, and mobile. And we put that out and we got back a number of proposals, including one from John Deere and then one from like a known international company that we had never dealt with. And so at the time I had said to the CAO, I was not in this role, well, this one meets the standard. That's the one to go with. And he correctly overruled that and said, well, yeah, but this is an emergency power generator we're dealing with here. I want a known name brand that I'm going to be able to go get service from. And just because this other one meets the criteria and is slightly cheaper, that's not a good decision for the community. This other one would be. And so there are times when dealing within a very rigid procurement strategy can lead to less favorable outcomes. I should also say, if there was significant variations where discretion was applied and it was like a non-negligible dollar amount, I would disclose that through the CAO report, the same as we do for certain purchases, such as those over the thresholds identified in the policy, being like more than 3-year contracts, more than $1 million. Those come through anyway.
Councillor Span.
Through Mayor Hibbs to administration, just to get a bit of an idea of the difference between what we currently have and what's being proposed, if I'm understanding this correctly anyway, what's the current trade agreement threshold? What would it be moving to?
So to Councillor Span, it's kind of a tranche of different trade agreement thresholds that we are subject to, but the most close to us is called the New West Trade Partnership. That covers BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. The current thresholds are $75,000 or greater for goods, $75,000 or greater for services, or $200,000 or greater for construction. And so above those thresholds, we are required to open and competitively procure goods, services, or those construction contracts.
Is that not what our current thresholds are with our current policy?
Correct. The policy lists specific dollar figures. And so the key change that we're proposing is to index or refer directly to the thresholds in the agreement. We have seen over the years several other trade agreements adjust their thresholds, typically with inflation, year over year, and that I guess we are anticipating the New West Trade Partnership doing the same to reflect what is seen in other trade agreements. And so this would allow for our policy to automatically align with those changes should they occur, rather than be like lag behind, or else we are now subject to a Lacombe only limit for the policy rather than a trade agreement limit that affects Western Canada.
Councillor Dykeslake.
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs. Correct me if I'm wrong. and I don't mean to belabor a small little term, but MASH is not described anywhere in this current policy amendment. And I do think that in the definitions, if we are to make a motion, I'd like to propose that that be included in the definitions portion. Because to me, that seems to be our comparator is MASH, not the other two, not Crowns or the other section, municipal, ministries and ABCs, which I also don't know what ABC stands for either.
Agencies, boards, commissions.
They have in the past. That's what the ABCs has been for most, but why are they not applying here? Agencies, boards and commissions for our procurement policy. We're going under MASH, right? Or do we have ABCs as well?
So we have MASH. The reason why when we're looking at trade agreements, they have a number of different sectors. There's industry, and then there's agriculture, and then there's all sorts of different sectors. And so they have rules that are negotiated that apply to different sectors for different political or strategic purposes. And that's a part of the negotiation. And so the MASH sector is kind of the institutional government, lower tier government sector. And so that's kind of a category that is used in these trade agreements. And certainly it's no problem at all for us to either expand on the definition of MASH in the policy where we do say that, just spell it out what it means, or to apply a definition for it. That's an amendment we can absolutely do. It's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Do I have anyone prepared? Oh, sorry, Councillor Proud.
Thank you, Mayor Hibbs. Just a question to Director Thompson. In regards to 7.2 local vendors, I see the updates that have been made. And my question is just maybe a little bit out of bounds, but in regards to the bottom portion where it talks about local vendors, that the bid is not more than 2% to a maximum amount of 2,000 above the lowest cost submitted by a non-local vendor. Is that typical, those percentages, or how does that work?
So this is a more Lacombe specific nod to giving preferential selection to local vendors that are of a lower dollar value. So within the limit that is, say, for goods, $75,000. So it's below $75,000. We put out a good for quote, and we get several quotes from local vendors and non-local vendors. That if the local vendor is higher by 2% or $2,000, then that is kind of the maximum limit in which we can prefer the local vendor over the non-local vendor. That is a policy decision of council, that one, and that can be dialed up or down, knowing that there's a balance between preferring local vendors. There's kind of an obvious direct connection there, but also that it also means that the local vendor is not the most cost competitive by doing that. And so there is a kind of a policy balance that the previous council and the policy currently is struck at 2% or $2,000. Certainly that can be dialed up or down based on your discretion.
Just a follow-up question. I guess my point is just, is that typical, say, with Red Deer, Black Falls, surrounding communities, or are we lower, higher? Like, how do we sit?
It's all over the map, depending on what product it is, what good it is, what service it is.
CEO Gowdy.
But I would also say very few have local preference at all. That's it's not unique to Lacombe, but it would be less common, quite uncommon, I would say, to have any sort of local preference.
Do we have anyone prepared to make the two motions? One is to rescind the existing policy and the other would be to adopt the policy potentially as amended if we're going to include that definition of MASH.
I'll make the first
Councillor
motion.
DeBresser.
Thanks. I move that council rescind policy 13.211.01 2021 PO procurement policy.
Okay, no further lights. I'll go ahead and call the question. Please go ahead and vote. And that is green. That is unanimous. There's a second motion there. We have now rescinded the policy, so we need to ideally put one back. Councillor Goings,
I move that council adopt policy 13.211.01 2026 procurement policy as presented.
would that be as presented or as amended? If we're going to make that adjustment with the MASH definition amended?
My apologies, as procurement policy as amended.
Very good. Just make sure that the motion with IT matches what we've just said. And it does. I will go ahead and call the question. Please proceed to vote. And that is unanimous. That does bring us to the end of our public portion of the meeting. Before we move in camera, I will just read out that we do not have a committee of the whole meeting on the 16th. We do have regular meetings scheduled for March 23rd as well as April 13th. And we are prepared to go in camera if someone's prepared to make that motion. Councillor Proud.
I move that we go in camera.
So motion to move in camera for 7:06. Are those, sorry, calling the question? Please go ahead and vote. And that is passed unanimously.